I am so very honored that you're taking a few minutes just to talk with us. And we're at our little tiny native station. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Absolutely tiny, but with a really big impact. I love you guys.
Thank you. Thank you. Speaking of impacts, as a theater kid from the Pacific Northwest, who also happens to be just this wonderful human being, from all of evidence of what you've been doing so far, what has been the most incredible part of this ride for you?
Oh, just seeing how much it's meant to so many people. You know, I had no idea the kind of impact, just, you know, as you just did, just introducing yourself in your language, the way that we're taught, you know, just letting people know who you come from, like not just where you come from, but who you come from is just 101, you know? And it didn't feel like that moment at the Globes would have the big impact that it did, but then seeing all of these little TikTok videos, seeing Mrs. Burden Browning, her kindergarten class record this "We're proud of you" video, and then introducing themselves and saying what they love to do. The way that it gave this nice little bump to our language revitalization effort back home. My friend, you know, we're the same age. He's 2 weeks older than me, but he's a fluent speaker of our language now, Robert Hall, and, you know, the spotlight that got to shine on him and some of the things that he has to say on these bigger stages, just because of a few words that, you know, the only level of proficiency I have in the language is to introduce myself. So it felt small for me, but just the impact that it's had and the way that that's rippled out has been so moving. And, yeah, I'm just really elated and excited just what this has meant for so many people and so many res kids, so many urban kids, you know.
Yeah, it's just speaking for myself, when I heard that, I felt like when I heard you introduce yourself, I heard almost a collective gasp from the Native community. It was really touching. So thank you for that. So your role in Killers of the Flower Moon has really brought significant attention for Indigenous representation and for language and just for our cultures as a whole. What or how do you hope to influence opportunities for Indigenous youth or other people by just being visible?
I mean, I think that's kind of it. So much of the things that we contend with in Indian country, especially with our youth, is, you know, prevention of these things that a lot of people don't have to think about in the same way. You know, increased visibility is a direct way of pushing back against missing relatives. You know, it's a direct way of pushing back against just the suicide epidemic that grips our kids. It's visibility is akin to representation. It's the same, you know, it's the same thing. And there's no one person in Indian country that is going to represent all of us. We're so diverse. You know, I happen to be in this position circumstantially in this film. And, you know, just within like the sisters, the way that we were able to show so many of our different personalities. We all come from different tribal nations. I mean, Janae Collins and I are cousins, but other than that, you know, both Montana girls, different parts of the state. But yeah, it's also just incredible to be sharing this moment and having this moment with so many other people. Like we have Callie Reese with True Detective that just wrapped up yesterday, and I'm so happy to see such a prominent representation of Black indigeneity, of Afro indigeneity. That's just so important. That we have, you know, we got T.O. Horn out there. We've got Amber Midthunder. We've got Alakwa Cox. We got, you know, Devery doing her thing and representing a whole world of experience there. It's exciting for me to be in this position because then I get to just geek out about things that are exciting to me that before, not falling on flat ears, but it felt like preaching to the choir. And now there's like this level of amplification that, you know, for better and for worse, you know, words like reaches a little bit farther. But it's just a beautiful time to be able to step into this moment and then have so many things that are happening right now with representation to point to and so many people to share this moment with.
Right. It seems like we need to take advantage of the popularity of Natives just to push better rights and maybe even equal ones eventually. That would be lovely. A little bit of land back is not a bad thing either. So you mentioned your character, Molly Kyle, a minute ago. So she has such a heartbreaking, but yet like fiercely strong story. Like, how did you become her? How did you find a place to have that resonate with you so that you could play her with as well as you did?
I knew that playing Molly, I had the level of responsibility that I would have tasked another actress with if she were doing a film about my great grandma Lily, who I'm named after, you know. I happen to also really love the name Molly. Shout out to my little cousin Molly Pinkham with you guys.
Yeah, she's right over there.
Hi, Molly. No, playing Molly and playing a woman from this period of time that was highly transitional for Indian country. You know, it's like you have elements of a couple of different worlds just starting to overlap and influence one another. And you have this great shift toward the end of the Industrial Revolution and like the way that starts wearing itself. You know, you're seeing like, I don't know. I love the montage in the beginning of the film where you're seeing everybody roll around in Rolls Royces and fly planes and like, you know, just this great transition into, you know, in this period of time where it really felt like a hybridization of tradition and modernity, you know, and we carry that. We always like embrace modernity from traditional view and roots and, you know, make it our own. So it was really exciting to step into a woman who was living through that, you know, that's like great transition, you know, when film and radio are first emerging, when the world just suddenly gets a lot bigger, and also, you know, exploring what that brought to the community. That was a huge thing, knowing that we were walking in to tell this really exciting, bustling time, but also knowing that brought the reign of terror. And to be making that film in Osage country with descendants of the victims and survivors of it, you know, it's like you say descendants, but this is just like a couple generations removed, you know, like Grandma Lily doesn't, even though I never met her, she passed before I was born. She very much felt like a presence in our house because of the impact she had on my dad. You know, she was just so much a part of his upbringing. And it's like, I knew that would be the same going to Osage country and really essentially walking into a community that this film is opening a wound. You know, it's, I feel like I knew how I would feel, or I can imagine how I would feel if the cameras were pointed at our nation, you know, and I kind of have experienced a little bit of films coming in and shooting on my reservation. It's happened several times over the years because Blackfeet Res is right next to Glacier National Park. Glacier Park is our land, and it's very filmic. So we get a lot of big sweeping westerns, and like, so I know what it's like to have a film crew around and kind of some of the energy that they bring with them. It felt like a real opportunity, but I knew that it was all going to only work. It was only going to be successful if it was so firmly planted in who Molly was, who her community is. And I was so grateful that every level of production there was Osage representation. So when you're on set and you know you've however much work you do to prepare, it's not like I'm going to walk on set and suddenly be Osage. You know, it's like I can't answer as an Osage person. And a lot of these moments, the kind of creative Marty is, also really lent itself well to, you know, picking up and changing based upon what community was saying. And like, we didn't have to like call and wait for somebody to get to set. Like everybody was there. There was always multiple Osage voices. So yeah, I mean, it was a big responsibility and it certainly wasn't done alone.
Thank you so much for, I mean, taking the role. I'm sure it was an honor to have the role, but I don't know if you knew that it would come with being basically the representation of all of Native America. So thank you for taking that on. I can't even imagine what you've had to go through.
I just look at it as a game of hot potato. I'm grabbing it right now, but I get tossing it as soon as I can. It's like you got to keep that hot potato in the air. And so, yeah, totally.
Thank you so much for your time. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. You too.